I'd like to introduce now our first featured speaker, Dr. Jorja Leap. Dr. Leap is a faculty member at UCLA Luskin School of Public Affairs, and she directs the UCLA Social Justice Research Partnership. Dr. Jorja Leap's experience encompasses working with gangs, violence, and trying to change systems. She is influencing policy at local, state, and national levels. She advises on gangs for Los Angeles County. She serves as an expert reviewer for the National Institute of Justice and leads the research for the community-based Public Safety Collective. Dr. Leap's current focus includes gang and community justice, criminal justice reform, and re-entry challenges, especially for women. She's a lead researcher for the White House Community Violence Intervention Collaborative, and she evaluates our much-loved Homeboy Industries gang re-entry program. And now let's welcome Dr. Jorja Leap. Jorja, I am so pleased to meet you and in awe of all the work that you do down in Watts. And I want to ask you about this year's theme, which is commitment with compassion. And why does that have so much resonance with you and the work you do working with gangs and working with that community that you are trying to lift up?
I think the real reason when we talk about commitment with compassion, and I'm glad you asked, is it's not enough to say we want to change things. That's an admirable beginning. But we have to change things with the right attitude. And compassion is what we need. Too often I see people with gangs, because that's who I know. Too often I see them saying, okay, I need you to listen to me. Here's what you need to do. Too often it is prescription. Too often it is control instead of compassion. And I think we've got to have the two together. And I'm going to tell you, and everyone in this room knows it, now more than ever. Whatever your political beliefs, we are in this pivotal time. And if we don't start digging in and finding compassion, we will fail. And the people we want to be with and the people we want to help, for me, gangs, for you, for anyone, it could be different things. The people we want to help, we will not be able to reach them because we're failing at that right now. So I think compassion is what we need now more than ever.
How do we all learn to see that world as you see it? Because what you see is not a community in crisis.
No.
You see individuals and a community with potential and individuals who could have a greater purpose. So how do you go about that, and how can we learn from you?
There's two things. The first is we have to start seeing strengths instead of problems. I've been honored to be in Watts 46 years. I started as a very young, very stupid social worker. I'm here to tell you, I was a disaster. And the first thing is we all have to shut up and listen. Along with recognizing strength, we have to shut up and listen and learn. You don't, and I love what was said up on the screen. You don't either have compassion or you don't have it. It's not like brown eyes. You practice it. And for me, practicing compassion is, first of all, relabeling what we see as deficits. I see strengths. And the other thing is shut up and listen.
You have seen in your work the transformation that's happened individual by individual, and you know, the rising tide lifting all boats when you do enough of that work, right? Tell us about some of those moments where you've seen life-changing results from just seeing someone you're working with, listening to that person, trying to help them solve their problem and see potential in themselves.
I think the life-changing moments happen when I and when all of us don't expect them. So I can tell you there's been so many over the years. One of the life-changing moments I had, and I will tell you a little story, is I worked with a young man who was gang involved. I was at Martin Luther King Hospital back in the day when they used to call it Killer King. And it's no longer that way. But this young man, I would always say to him, "You can count on me. I will be there for you." And I was working as a social worker, and here's a news flash. We're not the best paid profession. And I augmented my salary by doing cocktail waitressing at night. Okay? How's that? Where I learned a lot. Okay. And I came home late at night, and I saw a shadowy figure outside my house. And it was this young man. And he told me I was supposed to be at a shooting tonight. He was supposed to do a mission with the gang. And he said, "I remember you told me you'd always be there for me." And I found him in front of my house. So after I stopped crying, I said, "How the hell did you get my address?" And of course, everybody is a mixture. Again, compassion means looking at the totality of people. And he said, "Well, I broke into the records office at Martin Luther King and got your address out of the file." And I said, "Shooting, break-in, shooting, break-in." Okay? But what happened to me in that moment is that I recognized, and this is something I've learned with Father Greg Boyle, who I've had the honor of working with for over 30 years. He was skinny and had hair. I didn't need wrinkle cream. You guys know the story. Some of you don't. It's a lesson I learned over and over again with Father Greg, and I learned it in that moment. We have each other. And what changes lives is the attachment. Different programs, different things, they're great. I listened today. It's the Women's Leadership Network. You are all engaged in attachment. That's what changes people. And attachment is the sibling of compassion. So.
Well, that was a great story. One of the things that brings everybody together here is not just to honor people like you, but because we all want to be people like you in whatever small way we can. And I think one of the things that you really know firsthand is how much you've gotten back from working in this community, from working in these difficult situations. And it's not been ham and jam. I mean, this is hard stuff you're doing, and it's dirty and it's gritty and it's uncomfortable. But the reward for you, the reward for all of us, it comes back in spades, doesn't it?
Oh, I've been given much more than I've been given back much more than I gave out. The rewards I have felt, the relationships I have felt, the people who have brought me up. You heard my bio. That's not my bio. That's the story of the real experts who taught me, who gave me, who had me in their homes, who helped me raise my daughter. And my debt, I always say this, my debt to them is incalculable in terms of what they've given me.
Before I let you go, what is one thing you would tell us all to do when we're driving home today and saying, I think I need to do more than just write a check? What should we do?
As you're driving home, think of one small thing. We are way too focused on the big gesture, the big success, the big moment of change. One small thing, aside from writing a check, maybe, and it's not posting on social media. Maybe it's looking up someone on social media. Maybe it's Googling an organization. Maybe it's buying a book with someone's gang history. One small thing, one incremental change every day. Don't look for the big moment. Don't look for the big change. Look for that. It's way overrated. Way overrated. The one small thing, and you do it on the drive home, and then you do it tomorrow and tomorrow and tomorrow, because I've got news. Right here, right now, again, whether it's gangs, whether it's our schools, whether it's homelessness, it's going to take 1 million of those small things that we need to do to change the world.
Dr. Jorja Leap, your incredible work. We thank you and congratulations.